Hey guys, in the previous chapter of this series, we set up Ubuntu mission. Now it is time for the hands-on. In this chapter, we will cover the most essential Linux commands you need to know for your day-to-day work, especially if you're just starting out. Linux commands can seem tough to remember at first, but with the right approach, they will become your best friends for managing files, processes, and the entire system. So without any further delay, let's get started. As we already discussed in the previous chapters, Linux commands are executed in a shell, and there are different types of shells in Linux such as sh, bash, zhs, etc. To know which type of shell we are using currently, all we have to do is run a command which is echo space $0. Here echo is a command. This command is used to print some variable or text, and here we are printing the $0 which is a variable that holds the shell name which we are using. So let's hit enter to run this command. As you can see, we are using bash on this mission. Please note that we can install any number of shells on our mission. The list of installed shells on our mission will be in the /etc/shells file. This file contains the list of installed shells. So to know which all shells installed on my machine, all I have to do is read this file. And to read a file in Linux, we use another command which is cat. This cat command is used to read the contents of a file. So let's hit enter to read the contents of this file. As you can see, these are the shells installed on my machine. Please note that to the same cat command, we can pass multiple files to read the contents of the files together. So cat space file1 space file2. Now if you run this command, it will print the contents of these two files together. As you can see, it concatenated or combined the contents of these two files. That's why cat command stands for concatenate. We can also install different shells using a package manager, which we will see in few minutes. Now we know that our current shell is bash. We also know that these are the installed shells on my machine. Now what if I want to use a sh shell? For that, all you have to do is copy this and paste enter. As you can see, now we are using the sh shell. We can verify that with echo $0. As you can see, we are using sh shell. So this way we can change between shells. So let's come out of the sh shell back to our default shell, which was bash. For that, we have to run exit command. Now, as you can see, we came back to the default shell, which is bash. To know what is the default shell on your machine, just run echo $shell. So this $shell variable gives the default shell on your machine. Awesome. Now we know how to change between the shells. In Linux, we use commands for everything since there is no graphical user interface like in Windows. For example, if you want to know which folder or directory you are currently working on, Windows provides that information in the graphical user interface. But in Linux, for that also, you need to run a command which is pwd, which stands for present working directory. As you can see, /home/ubuntu is the present working directory, meaning whatever the commands I execute, those are executed in this directory. Now if we want to see what all files or folders are there in this directory, we can use the ls command, which stands for list. As you can see, there is only one file, which is pawan.txt. Also, in Linux, for the commands we can pass the flags. For example, to the same ls command, I can pass the -l flag, which gives a more detailed view of the directory contents. As you can see, we got the more details of this pawan.txt. Don't worry about all this. I will explain each and every character of this line in few minutes. If you think you cannot remember all these flags, there is another useful command for us, which is man, which stands for manual. This man command allows us to see the list of flags supported by a specific command. For example, man space ls. This will display the manual page of this ls command. A manual page is nothing but a form of a documentation that explains what a command does, provides examples on how to use it, and lists down the flags it accepts. As you can see, this is the name of the command, this is the syntax of the command, and this is the detailed description of the command. And also, these are the flags supported by the command. You can keep pressing enter to scroll through the content. As you can see, this is the flag that we used previously, which is used for a long listing format. And if you want to come out of this manual page, you have to hit Q, which stands for quit. In the same way, we can see the manual page of different commands. As you can see, this is the manual page of the cat command, which is used to concatenate files and prints on the standard output. So let's come out of this manual page by hitting Q again. Now, what if I want to create a new directory in this present working directory? For that, we use another command which is mkdir, which stands for make directory. So to create a directory, all we have to do is mkdir space and the directory name that we want to create. So DevOps, enter. As you can see, the new directory in the present working directory is created. We can verify that with ls. As you can see, DevOps directory is created. If you want to create the nested directory, that means directory inside a directory, we have to append the path. For example, I want to create a Linux directory inside the DevOps directory. So let's hit enter. And now let's verify if the Linux directory is created by listing the contents of the DevOps directory. As you can see, Linux directory is created inside the DevOps directory. Now our present working directory is still /home/Ubuntu, but I want to work in this Linux directory. For that, I should change my present working directory to the Linux directory. In Windows, all you have to do is just click on the folder icons and that's it. But in Linux, for this also we need to run a command which is cd, which stands for change directory. So if I want to change the directory to the Linux, cd space DevOps, just hit the tab to get the suggestions, Linux, enter. Now our present working directory is the Linux. Now whatever the operations I do, those will be running in the context of the present working directory, which is Linux. As you can see, there are no files present in this directory. There are some pro tips for you to navigate between these directories easily. To go to the parent directory of the Linux, which is the DevOps directory, cd space dot dot. Now we will go to the DevOps directory. If you want to go to the grandparent of the directory, cd space dot dot slash dot dot. Now it should take us back to the /home directory because parent directory of the DevOps is Ubuntu and the parent directory of the Ubuntu is /home. So enter. As you can see, we are in the /home directory. Now if I want to come back to the previous working directory, which was DevOps, cd space hyphen, enter. As you can see, now we are in the /DevOps directory. And if you want to go to the default home directory on your machine, cd tilde, enter. Now present working directory is /home/Ubuntu, which was the default home directory on this machine. So let's change our present working directory back to Linux, DevOps/Linux, enter. Awesome. Now that we know how to create directories and navigate between them, let's learn how to manage files in these directories, such as creating a file, deleting a file, and organizing files. To create a file in Windows, all you have to do is just right click and select new file and that's it. But in Linux, as everything is based on commands, we use touch command to create a new file. To this command, we should pass the file name that we want to create. Enter. As you can see, the file is created. We can verify that with ls command. Now, let's try to read the contents of the file with the cat command. Enter. As you can see, the file is empty. So, this touch command creates an empty file. Please note that depending on the Linux distribution you are using, you might have access to the graphical user interface, but commands are more efficient and greatly enhances our productivity. In real-time production environments, graphical user interfaces are usually not available. So if you want to grow as a developer or DevOps engineer, you should master all these commands thoroughly. And with a proper flow and practice, nothing is impossible. Awesome. Now we have an empty file. Now I want to write some data to this file. For that we use echo command. So echo space and the content I want to add. I want to add ash hello there. So let's close the double quotes and now a redirection operator followed by the file name that we want to write to. So demo.sh, enter. Now this text is written to this file. We can verify that with cat demo.sh. As you can see, the data is there in the file. Now if I want to update the contents of the file, we have to run the same command with the updated text. Hello there guys, enter. Now if we try to listen the contents with the cat command, we can see the updated text. But there's one thing. What if I want to append the content to the existing content instead of overwriting the content? For that, all we have to do is, instead of using the single redirection operator, we have to use double redirection operator. Enter. Now if we try to list down the contents, we can see that the text is appended to the existing content. Cool. Now let's say we have a large file like application logs in production environment. For that, reading the application logs with the cat command seems to be tough because there is a lot of text and we have to scroll through the content. Because I'm interested only in the latest log, which is the last 10 lines of the log file. For that, we have a command called tail. This tail command will list the last 10 lines. As you can see, we got the latest 10 lines from the app.log file. By default, tail shows the last 10 lines, but we can specify a different number of lines with the -n flag. Enter. As you can see, now the 20 lines got printed. Make sure to explore different flags and experiment with them to get comfortable using the tail command. Now, if you want to view the first 10 lines, which are old logs, you can use the head command, which works similar to the tail, but this command displays the first 10 lines instead of the last 10 lines. So head app.log. As you can see, this displays the first 10 lines. For this command also, we can pass the number of lines with the -n flag. And even for the larger files, if you want to scroll through the content, we can use the less command or more command. As you can see, we can scroll through the content by hitting the up arrow or down arrow, and to come out of it, just hit the Q. Sometimes we want to follow the logs, meaning whenever the application writes logs to the file, we want to see them live. For that, we can use the same tail command with the -f flag. Here, -f stands for follow. Enter. Now, as you can see, it is waiting for the new logs to print. Now to demonstrate this, I will try to add a new log to this file with the echo and double redirection operator. Enter. As you can see, the data is added, and if we go back to the previous tab, we can see that this is automatically printed as and when the new log is added to the log file. So this way we can follow the logs with the -f flag. So let's come back with the Control C. Let's clear the screen. Now in this app.log, I want to find a specific text, maybe database connection failed. For that, we use another command, which is grep, which stands for global regular expression print. To this command, we can pass the regular expressions. For now, let's pass a simple text and hit enter. As you can see, this log is found in the log file, which is an error and at this timestamp. So this way we can find a specific text inside a file. We can also pass regular expression to this command. Example, I want to print all the logs which starts with disk star. Enter. As you can see, these are the logs which starts with disk word. So this way we can find a text inside a file using regular expressions. Now, what if I want to filter the files itself? Meaning, now I have these files in my directory, but now I want to list only log files. For that, we have two clues. One is, we know that ls is used to list down the files, and we also know that grep command is used to filter. So let's pass the regular expression to filter only the log files. And on top of this, we have to do a little more change. Because we are using the two commands here, to pass one command's output to another, we should use the pipe operator. Now, whatever the files listed will be passed to the grep command as an input. So enter. As you can see, only log files are printed. Of course, we can achieve the same with ls space star.log. But this I explained to demonstrate how to combine the two commands. We can also achieve the same thing in a different way by using find command. With this find command, we can filter the files by its name, type, and owner, etc. So find space dot, which indicates the current directory, space, I want to filter by name, and here I want to filter only the log files. So star dot log, enter. As you can see, we got only the log files. Another useful command for searching is where is. This where is command finds the binary and the manual pages for a given command. For example, if I type where is space cat, this gives the binary location of that cat command and also the directory name where the manual pages of that cat command exist. So this is the command name, and this is the binary of the command, and this is the manual page of that command. So far we have seen the basic commands in Linux, and also how to create a file, how to write to the files, and how to find those files. Now let's say I want to move this log file to a different directory. For that, let's create the directory first, mkdir logs. Now if I want to move this log file to this new directory, we have to use a command called mv, which stands for move. So move app.log to the logs directory. Enter. Now if we try to list down the files, this app.log is not there because it has been moved to the logs directory. Instead of moving, we can copy the file with the cp command. Please try it as a homework. Awesome. Now you must be thinking how to edit the contents of a file. For that, we have already seen that with the echo double redirection operator, we can append to the file. But here I am talking about editing the file contents in between. For that, we have multiple options like nano, vim, vi, etc. These are all called text editors, like notepad in your Windows. We can use any of these text editors. Let's use Vim. So let's clear the screen. Vim space. Vim stands for Visual Editor Modified, which is an advanced version of VI. So Vim space demo.sh, which is the file name. Enter. As you can see, we can see the text editor. By default, we cannot edit the content in this file because it is in the read-only mode. To insert the text, we have to hit the I letter. So this way, it is in the insert mode now. Now with the arrows, we can go to a specific point and start editing the data. So let's remove this guys here. And now to save it, we have to come back to the view mode. We can come back from insert mode to the view mode by hitting the escape. And now to come out of this editor, we have to hit colon. And now here we have multiple options. Example Q, which means quit the editor. And Q exclamation mark, which means quit the editor without saving any changes. Or we can do the WQ, which means write the changes and quit the file. So now let's hit enter. As you can see, now we came out of the text editor. So what we did with Vim so far, we opened the file in the text editor as a read-only mode. Then we changed the mode to insert mode by hitting high. Then we edited the data. Then we came back to read-only mode by hitting the escape. Then we came out of the text editor with colon WQ, which stands for write and quit. Now the data is updated. We can verify that with cat demo.sh. As you can see, the data is updated. So this way we can edit the file contents in the text editor. Awesome. Now you understood everything about files. But how to manage permissions on those files? For example, now I want to run or execute the demo.sh file. For that, all I have to do is /demo.sh. Enter. Boom. Permission denied. This is crazy. This file is created by me and I don't have the permission to run this file. Then who has permissions on this file? How can I change the permissions on this? Let's see that now. Before understanding how to give permissions to a user, first let us understand how to add a user. To add a user, we should use user add command. So user add space username, let's call it as RAM user. And to this command, we can pass different flags. For example, I want to specify the default shell. For that, -s/bin/sh. That means sh will be the default shell for this user. So let's hit enter. As you can see, permission denied. This is because only super users can perform special activities such as installing software, modifying system configurations, or managing users. However, the current user, which is Ubuntu user, does not have those privileges. One option is to grant the Ubuntu user super admin privileges by adding this user to the sudo user group. Another option is to log in as the root user. However, instead of logging in as root user, which is very risky for security reasons, users can temporarily gain administrative privileges for specific tasks using the sudo command. Sudo stands for super user do. So, whenever we are running any command with sudo, we are running it as the root user or super user. So, let's run it as a sudo user. Sudo enter. As you can see, the user is created. We can verify if the user is created or not by reading the contents of this file. This file holds the list of users on this machine. So cat enter. As you can see, the RAM user is created and the default shell for this user is sh. Awesome. Now we created the user, but the current logged in user is not RAM. How do we know the current logged in user? UMI command. Enter. As you can see, the current logged in user is Ubuntu. We can also use the id command to know the current logged in user with a detailed content, like to which all groups he belongs to. So now, how do I log in as RAM user? Meaning switching from Ubuntu user to RAM user. For that, we use su command, which stands for switch user. So su RAM. So let's run it as a sudo user. Enter. As you can see, we currently logged in as RAM user. We can verify that with UMI. Enter. The current user is RAM. And the default shell is echo $shell. As you can see, the default shell is sh because we explicitly specified. And now to log out or exit from this user, we have to hit exit, enter. Now the current user is Ubuntu. Now we know how to create a user and log in as that user. These users can be added to groups. A group is nothing but a collection of users. We can list down the groups by reading the /etc/group file. As you can see, these are the groups on my machine. We can create a new group with the group add command. So group add, I will create the developers group, enter. Now if we try to read the same file, a new group is added, which is developers. And also for every user, the group is created. So we have two new groups, RAM and developers. So now how do I add this RAM to this developers group? For that we use user mod command, which stands for user modification. So to this command we should pass -a g. Here -a is nothing but append and g stands for groups, meaning we are saying that for a specific user, append the groups. What groups we want to attend? Developers group. And to which user? RAM user. Enter. As you can see, now the RAM user is added to the developers group. We can verify that with group space username RAM. So this command will list down the groups of the RAM user. As you can see, this RAM user belongs to RAM group and also developers group. So now we know the concept of a user and group. Now let's go back and see why I am not able to execute this file. When we list the files with -l flag, this is the output we get. The first column shows the permission sets. You can ignore the second column. Third column is the owner of the file. You remember we created the demo.sh file with the touch command as Ubuntu user. And the fourth column shows that the user groups associated with this file, meaning we are associating demo.sh file with Ubuntu user group. And this fifth column shows that the size of the file in bytes, and this timestamp is the last modified time. So now let's try to understand what this permission set is. This permission set is having total 10 characters. The first character indicates if it is a file or directory. Hyphen means it is a file, D means it is a directory. And the next 9 characters can be divided into 3 groups. That's why I differentiated them with different colors. Each group will have 3 characters. R, W, X. R means read, W means write, X means execute. The first group shows that what the owner of the file has access to. In this case, the owner of the file can read the file, write to the file, and also he can execute the file. Let's say RAM is the owner of the file. So RAM can read the file, he can write to the file, and also he can execute the file. And the second group shows that what are the user groups associated with that file has access to. As we seen a minute back, the fourth column shows the user groups associated with that file. So those groups will have access to this second group. That means all the users who belongs to that group will have the read permission, write permission, but they cannot execute that file. And the third group shows that other users permission. Other users are nothing but neither they are the owners nor the users belong to the user groups associated with that file. So with this understanding, let us debug why we are not able to execute the demo.sh file. Let's list down the permission set with ls-l. As you can see, this is the permission set. Here, the first character is hyphen, which means it is a file. If you see for the logs, the same first character is D, that means it is a directory. So on this demo.sh file, the first group indicates the owner permissions. So who is the owner of the file? Ubuntu. And also I logged in as Ubuntu. So this Ubuntu user who is the owner of the file is having rw- permissions, meaning he can read the file that we proven with the cat command, and he also can write to the file that we proven with the vim command, but he cannot execute the file because it is hyphen. Hyphen means no. So that's why he is not able to execute the file. And the second group shows that rw-, which means Ubuntu group, the group associated with the file, is having access to. And the last group shows the other user permissions. They can only read the file, but they cannot write and execute the file. Now the question is how to give execute permissions on this file to the owner of the file, which is Ubuntu user. For that, we can use the chmod command, which means change mode. So there are different ways to specify this mode, but the most common one is using the 3-digit octal code. So the syntax will be something like this: chmod space the 3-digit octal code space file name. Here the first digit shows the owner permissions, and the second digit shows that group permissions, and the third digit shows that other user permissions. So 7 means 4 plus 2 plus 7. 4 is nothing but read, 2 is nothing but write, 1 is nothing but execute. So this mapping you should remember. Read means 4, write means 2, execute means 1. Again, if we look at each digit, 7 means 4 plus 2 plus 1. 4 means read, 2 means write, 1 means execute. So 4 plus 2 plus 1 is equal to 7. That means 7 means he has all the access, read, write and execute. And if you look at the group access, which is 5, it means 4 plus 0 plus 1. That means he has read permissions, he cannot write to the file, but he can execute the file. So 4 plus 0 plus 1, which is 5. And if you see the other user permissions, which is 4, that means 4 plus 0 plus 0. That means he can only read the file, he cannot write to the file, he cannot execute the file. So this is how this octal code is constructed. To summarize, first digit shows the owner permissions, second digit shows the group permissions, and the third digit shows the other user permissions. So 7 can be constructed as 4 plus 2 plus 1, that means read, write and execute, and 5 can be constructed as 4 plus 0 plus 1, which means read, no write and execute, and the 4 can be constructed as 4 plus 0 plus 0, that means he can only read the file, he cannot write and he cannot execute the file. If you think this is complex to construct this octal code, there is another simple way, which is symbolic way. In the symbolic way, the syntax is chmod space the mode. The mode will be U. U stands for owner and plus stands for add permission. So for the owner, we are adding read, write and execute permissions, comma. For G, G means group. For the group, is equal to means we are explicitly setting the permissions. Means here for the group, we are setting only execute permission. And for the other, O means other user. For other users, minus means we are removing the existing permissions. So for other users, we are removing the write and execute permissions on this test.sh file. So plus means adding the permissions, minus means removing the permissions, is equal to means overwriting the permissions. U means owner, G means group, O means others, A means all the users. So with this understanding, let's try to change the permissions of the file and see what happens. Chmod space, the first digit, which is owner permissions, I want to give it as read plus, I don't want to give write permissions, so 0, plus I want to give execute permissions, that means 1. So 4 plus 0 plus 1, that means 5. For other users also, I will give the same permissions for now, and file name is demo.sh. Enter. Now if we try to list down the permission sets of this file, we can see that the owner is having read permission, no write permission, and he can execute the file. And same with the group and other users also. So now because the owner is having execute permissions, let's try to run the file and see. So ./demo.sh. As you can see, now we are able to execute the file. Now let's try to change the permission again. For the other users, I don't want to give the execute permissions. All I want is read permissions. So I'll give just 4, enter. So now ls-l, other users are having only read permissions. So now let me log in as RAM user and try to read the demo.sh file. So cat demo.sh, enter. As you can see, I'm able to read the file because RAM belongs to other users, meaning he's not the owner of the file and also it doesn't belong to Ubuntu group. Now let's try to write to the file. Echo hi to the demo.sh. As you can see, permission denied because he is not having the right permissions. And also he cannot execute the file also. /demo.sh. As you can see, he cannot execute the file also. Now let's try to add this RAM user to the Ubuntu group and see what happens. Let's come back to the Ubuntu user and I'm adding RAM user to the Ubuntu group. This command we have already seen few minutes back. Enter. Now RAM user belongs to the developers group and also Ubuntu group. Now let's list the permissions again and log in as RAM user. Now let's try to execute the files. Demo.sh. As you can see, now I am able to execute the file because now the RAM user belongs to Ubuntu group and the Ubuntu group has permissions to execute the file. So let's come back. Now we'll see how to change the mode with the symbolic way. Chmod, and now for the user, I want to add read and write permissions, comma. For the group, I want to add only the read and execute permissions, and for others, I want to add only read and write permissions. Enter. Oops, sorry, we forgot to give the file name, demo.sh. Enter. As you can see, now the permissions are updated. We can verify that with ls-l. As you can see, we added the read and write permissions on top of the existing permissions with plus, and for the group we explicitly set the read and execute permission, and for others we explicitly set the read and write permissions. And let's see another case, chmod. For all the users, I want to set only the read permissions on demo.sh. In this case, ls-l, as you can see, all the users are having only the read permissions. So this way, we can change the permissions on a file. We can also change the mode on directories. For example, chmod, and for all the users, I want to give rwx permissions in the logs directory recursively. So now, if we try to list down the contents of the logs directory, ls-l logs, we can see that all the users are having rwx permissions. So this way we can change permissions on files. And next we will see how to change the ownership of the file. Now we know that the owner of this demo.sh file is the Ubuntu user, and the Ubuntu user group is associated with this file. Now I want to transfer the ownership from Ubuntu users to RAM user. For that we use chown. This means change ownership, and I want to change the ownership to RAM user on the demo.sh file. Operation not permitted, so we should execute at the sudo enter. As you can see, now the ownership is changed to RAM. We can verify that with ls-l. Now we can see that RAM is the owner of this file. And also we can change the associated group with chown and ram colon. I want to change the group to maybe root on the demo.sh. Again, we should execute with the sudo enter. Now if we list down the files, as you can see, the associated groups also changed. If you want to change only groups but not the owner, we have to do :root. So let me change back to maybe developers. As you can see, now the ownership is changed to developers. So this way on a file we can change the owner and associated groups. So I hope you understood how to manage the permissions of a file. Like this, there are few more commands in Linux that you need to know, like uname -a stands for all, and here this shows our operating system details, meaning the first column shows the kernel, and this is the kernel build that we are using, and this is the 64-bit architecture that we are using, etc. And also, if you want to see the running processes in the system, we can use the top command. So example, this process is using the 0 CPU and 1.4% of memory, etc. So this way, this shows the real-time monitoring of the processes. To come out of this, Control C, and also to see the memory usage, we can hit free-h. So this shows that available memory. And also if you want to see the disk usage, we can hit df-h. As you can see, these are the file systems and their size and how much is used. Here -h stands for human readable. It means it will show in the MBs or GBs. Now if you want to know only disk usage of this roots directory, we have to do df-h grep/dev/root. This way we can get to know only the usage of the root file system. And also there are some more powerful tools to extract a specific column. Example, in this case we have so many columns, like this is the file system, this is the size of the file system, this is the used size, and this is the available size, and this is in the percentage, and this is the mounted space. And now I want to get only the second column, which is used size. For that, to the same command, we should add one more command. So pipe and awk. So this awk is a very powerful tool which extracts a specific column. So awk, and I want to know the third column. So print $3, enter. So this way we can extract a specific column from the output. There is one more text processing tool apart from this awk tool, which is SED, stands for stream editor. With this command, we can modify the text. Example, I want to modify this 1.7G as 1.7 GB maybe. For that, to the same command, pipe again, SED space this one. Here we are saying that replace G with GB, enter. As you can see, 1.7G is printed as 1.7 GB. So this way, we can modify the output of the text with SED. I'm not going through these things in detail because in the next chapter, which is the shell scripting, we will see these in detail. Now the next important thing is the package management. This package management is nothing but installing or uninstalling the softwares on our machine. Different Linux distributions have their own package management tools. But for Ubuntu, apt is the popular package manager. So with this apt, we can install softwares on our machine and also we can uninstall them. Example, I want to install curl on my machine. For that, all I have to do is apt, which is a package manager, install and curl. So I'm telling that, hey apt, please install curl on my machine, enter. As you can see, permission denied. So let's run it as sudo, enter. As you can see, it is downloading from the internet and installing the curl on my machine. So let's verify if it's installed. Curl --- version. As you can see, it is installed on my machine. To uninstall, all we have to do is, instead of install, we have to do remove, enter. As you can see, it is asking for confirmation. Yes, enter. As you can see, it is removed. We can verify that with same curl version. It is showing that it is not installed. So let's install it back. Let's say some older version is installed on your machine, and if you want to upgrade it, all you have to do is upgrade here. So this way we can upgrade it to the latest version. So this way we can manage the software on our Linux machine. And next comes the process management in Linux. A process is nothing but an instance of a running program. To see the list of running processes, we have to run ps space aux. Here ps stands for process status. Enter. As you can see, these are all the processes running on my machine. To demonstrate it better, let me edit the demo.sh file to sleep for 10 seconds. So for that, vim demo.sh, enter. And here I'm adding the sleep command, which sleeps for 10 seconds. Escape, wq, exclamation, to write the changes. Now let's try to run this demo.sh file. Demo.sh. Oops, we cannot run it because we changed the permissions, I guess. ls-l. As you can see, owner is not having execute permission. So let's change the permissions with chmod. For the owner, I want to give the execute permissions on the demo.sh. Now let's try to run the same file. As you can see, it is sleeping for the 10 seconds. To run it in the background, space, ampersand, enter. So it will sleep in the background. Meanwhile, we can run ps aux. As you can see here, sleep 10 is the running process on my machine. And this is the process ID. To kill a process, all we have to do is kill space process ID. In this case, 2931. So this way we can kill the process explicitly. And final thing I want to demonstrate is the environment variables. These environment variables are nothing but the variables that are accessible outside of the program that we are running currently. Example, we have already seen environment variable which is $shell. So this $shell can be accessed anywhere in the system. That's why this is called system environment variable. Like that, we have different environment variables. We can print all the environment variables with env. So this will list down all the environment variables. So if you want to see only shell, grep shell. As you can see, this is set to /bin/bash because this is the default shell on our machine. And also we can see one more environment variable as pwd. As you can see, this is the current present working directory and this is the previous present working directory. That's why when you hit cd space -, this old pwd will be your new pwd. Enter. See, as you can see, /home/ubuntu. Now we change the present working directory. These environment variables will also get updated. Enter. As you can see, these both are swapped. So when we hit cd space -, these both will be swapped. And if you want to print the value of a specific environment variable, echo space $shell. So this way we can print a specific environment variable value. In the same way, echo pwd. As you can see, this is the present working directory. And if you want to delete an environment variable, you have to do unset and old pwd. So now I'm deleting the old pwd environment variable. As you can see, it is deleted. We can verify that with old pwd. Enter. As you can see, it is not there. Now if we try to do cd space -, you will get an error because old pwd is not set. So this cd space - basically gets the value of the old pwd environment variable and changes the directory. As it is unset, it's not able to change the directory to the previous present working directory. I think we learned more than enough. For your reference, I have created a Linux cheat sheet and I will attach the link to this document in the description of this video. So to summarize, we learned basic shell commands and also we learned so many commands related to file and directory management. And then we have seen the different text editors, especially Vim and the different options in that. And also we have gone through different data manipulation commands like awk, scd, etc. And also we have seen in detail about user management, like how to add a user, how to add a group, how to assign a user to a group, etc. And then we have seen in detail about the file permissions, first with the octal code. And also we have seen how to transfer ownership of a file. And also we have seen how to change the permission of a file in symbolic way. And also we covered the environment variables. And also there are different commands for archiving files that you can explore as a homework. And also we have seen the different commands related to system monitoring like top, free, etc. And also we have seen the package management, especially apt. And also we have gone through the process management with ps, that is process status. And also there are some networking commands that you can go through. I will cover these networking commands in the networking chapter of this series. And also there are some scheduling commands that I will discuss in the next chapter of this series. Now that you know the most of the commands in Linux, in the upcoming chapter, let us take these commands to the next level with shell scripting. Stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed the video. My name is Pavanil Tepu and I thank you very much for watching this video. If you really enjoyed the content, please share it with your friends and do not forget to subscribe to my channel to not miss any updates.